Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Montreal jazz drummer and composer Aaron Dolman. He released his first CD, 2019's Nostalgia and Other Fantasies. This album features original music inspired by the feelings of nostalgia that were stirred up while sifting through old family photos, driving through the Canadian Prairies, or sitting by a silent lake at midnight. The album is dedicated to the memory of Aaron's mom, who passed away in 2017. He studied drums and compositions with the acclaimed drummer and composer John Hollenbeck, and over the years he has received a number of awards and accolades for his drumming. So please get to know him and dig this interview, my friends.
So, Aaron, first and foremost, thanks for jumping in here real fast and being a part of Neon Jazz. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
You bet. I love the whole tapestry and backdrop of this album, Nostalgia and Other Fantasies. It's kind of a homage to family. It's full of all kinds of emotions. Talk to me about this project from your perspective.
Yeah, it really, well, you kind of nailed it. It really is about nostalgia to do with family and all the emotions that come with kind of the passing of time. Really, it started when, well, I guess it started kind of as I was on tour with a folk group, and I sort of rediscovered my love for that kind of music that I listened to when I was younger. And I was sort of in the middle of a jazz degree, and that's also what I play most at home. And then I started writing folk music again, and it all kind of came together. And then at the same time, I found these old photos of my mom, and that's actually the album art, is these old family photos, and they kind of brought out a bunch of emotions, because she had actually passed away the year before that, so that's almost 3 years ago now. So it all kind of happened at the same time, and it's like musical kind of, I don't want to call it a rebirth, but like a rediscovery of folk music, and then these old photos, and it all came together really kind of naturally.
So were you born and raised in Montreal?
Yeah, I was.
Okay, right on. I always hear great things. Talk to me about Montreal and what your childhood was like and kind of how you got into jazz. I know folk music was a big deal for you, but kind of give me an idea of the entirety.
Yeah, Montreal's a really diverse place musically. Also, I mean, culturally and socially, it is too, and those two things often go together. But one of the great things about Montreal is there's all these different scenes, and it's not so big that the scenes don't interact. So there's this really great kind of mixing of musical cultures. So that was something I kind of realized early on. I've been playing drums since I was 9. So as soon as I started kind of playing and especially playing professionally eventually, I realized like, oh, there's this whole world of music around, which was really great. And then when I got into my jazz degree, obviously that sort of augmented the whole experience of like, what's happening in the city, what's really going on, what are all these great inspiring things happening. So for me, like my early musical memories are like a lot of people my age. It's like rock and funk and that kind of thing. I guess what my parents listened to. And then eventually I discovered the blues and jazz and came to folk music, and that's when it all kind of coalesced.
So another level of this is your initial release. This has to be pretty exciting after all this time to actually have this be your freshman release. Totally.
Yeah, well, anyone who's done this or it's a lot of work, like you said, and a couple of years of work. So it's really, really exciting for me. And it's one thing I realize is there's so many people that are involved, so many different like creative energies and different people helping make it happen. It's never just the name on the album. So it's been 2 years of sort of me trying to find my voice, what I want to say, and then also 2 years of like, who do I want to work with? Who do I, which musicians do I need to bring the music to life and, put the album graphics together and all those different things. And it was really just a kind of like challenging and rewarding and really exciting experience.
So you spent some summers kind of traveling and being a part of the scene and really getting out there. What did that teach you about your voice and who you would become, not only on this album, but as a musician now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think first and foremost, it taught me to write the music that I love, like to not really consider anything else other than that. Like, what music do I want to listen to? Oh, I should write that, and if it doesn't exist, then I should write it. So I realized like, a lot of the music I was playing was either in this like improv, free improv, sometimes contemporary jazz kind of thing. And then I was touring with a folk band every summer. So those two worlds were like they felt equally like home to me. So I knew that if I was going to put out an album of my own music and put my name on it, it had to feel like home. It had to feel like those two worlds.
So what was one of the first jazz shows you saw live that really blew your doors down?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I think the first time I saw Brian Blade, who plays in Wayne Shorter's band, and also Joni Mitchell's band, so it's got like this jazz thing going on already. But the first time I saw him live was pretty amazing. Like, it was, the sound and the energy was really special. And that was, I don't know when that was. I was like 6 or 7 years ago. That was when I was old enough to really know what I was listening to, you know, and that was really big for me.
Did you always know that you were going to be a musician? Was that always something on your radar, or was there something else?
I think if you go back far enough, I wanted to be a veterinarian or something because I like dogs a lot. But no, it was really like sort of always the case. I never really thought about it consciously. It just, at every step, like at every decision-making step, it was like the only decision that I could make, and it felt right. So I never really questioned it.
What did you learn, you know, in your studies and in the classroom about this profession that you're in now? What's resonated with you that's really helped you out?
Yeah, a lot of things for sure. I've had a lot of really great teachers. I think a lot of the composing lessons, like those were some of the ones that stuck to me the most, like to think really about every aspect of what you're writing, like not just the melody, not just the harmony, but think about the form, think about how you're writing for the musicians that you've decided to bring into the project, you know, like really making conscious decisions about each of the elements, like not letting anything up to just like by default making any decisions like that. That was really big, and that came from a few composition instructors I had, like Christine Jensen or John Hollenbeck. Maybe some people will know their music. It's really inspiring. That was big, and as a drummer, it was always like play like to the best of your honest ability, like play to what you really hear and do that as well as you possibly can.
So why do you love jazz?
I think kind of the same reason I like folk almost. It's like such a huge, diverse, complex kind of world, you know, like jazz in and of itself is kind of many things. It has to be many things. And so there's probably something for you in it, you know, like there's probably many things for everyone in it, and you'll never stop finding them. Like the more you listen, the more you'll learn, the more you'll love. And so that's really, I think, what keeps me going back to it.
Yeah, that's a great answer. So let me ask you this. Everything's going to come down to this. Everyone has their version. They have their version of their interpretation of you, your family, your friends, your fans, but you know yourself. Who do you think you are?
That's a really good question. You put me on the spot, man. That's good. You know, I think ultimately I'm just someone who really likes to listen to music. I just love music. So if I'm going to make it, then I want to make it the kind of music that I want to listen to, and then hopefully as a result it'll be honest enough that other people will want to listen to it too, you know? So I think ultimately when you get really down to it, I'm just someone who really, really likes music.
Cool. That's a great way to wrap everything up. Aaron, thank you for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz, and good luck with the album. I appreciate it.
Man, thank you so much. Really, really a pleasure.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in Montreal, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Aaron for his time, music, and stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit Neon Jazz at youtube.com. And for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.